I've come here personally
Today I am here personally
as the leader of the world's largest economy
as the leader of the world's largest economy
and its second
largest emitter
to say that
we have begun to do something about it.
the United States of America not only recognizes our role in creating this problem, we embrace our responsibility to do something about it.
And the Oscar goes to Leonardo DiCaprio.
And to my parents, none of this would be possible without you. And to my friends, I love you dearly. You know who you are. And lastly, I just want to say this. Making The Revenant was about man's relationship to the natural world, a world that we collectively felt in 2015 as the hottest year in recorded history. Our production needed to move to the southern tip of this planet just to be able to find snow. Climate change is real. It is happening right now. It is the most urgent threat facing our entire species, and we need to work collectively together and stop procrastinating. We need to support leaders around the world who do not speak for the big polluters or the big corporations, but who speak for all of humanity, for the indigenous people of the world, for the
Well, actor Leonardo DiCaprio can now check one more thing off his bucket list. He officially has met the Pope. DiCaprio went to the Vatican to talk about the environment and climate change. The Pope presented DiCaprio with two encyclicals, one on the environment as well as a set of rosaries. DiCaprio gave the Pope a book of paintings, which includes one that hung above.
Mr. President, I find it encouraging that you are proposing an initiative for reducing air pollution. Accepting the urgency, it seems clear to me also that climate change is a problem we can no longer be left to a future generation.
People of the world,
I'm a geologist, and the one thing that we miss out on in looking at climate change is the past. Climates have always changed. Climate changes in the past have been greater and faster than anything we experience in our lifetime. Sea levels have always changed, not by the modest couple of millimetres that people are having conniptions about, but we've had in the past sea level changes of only 1,500 metres. That's a sea level change.
But I started my speech the same way I start all my speeches on climate change, with the facts. Not a lot of spin, just the facts. We know that burning fossil fuels release carbon dioxide. We know that carbon dioxide traps heat. We know that the levels of carbon dioxide are higher than they've been in 800,000 years.
This is Dantalian Jones. Today I'm going to discuss how to use a simple technique called pacing and leading to influence and persuade. This will be one of your greatest tools of mind control. Let's begin by understanding what is the difference between a pace and a lead. A pace is a statement that is true, something all parties would agree to being true without dispute. All of the following statements are paces. You are watching a video. Your eyes are open. You're listening to my voice. You're listening with your ears. The monitor is in front of you. So all these things are true and can't easily be argued, and as a result they are accepted. When you state several things that are paces in a row, the mind of the subject gets into a pattern of accepting what is being said. That's the perfect time to introduce a lead or leading statement. A lead or leading statement is something that you want to be accepted by your subject. It's what you want them to accept without judgment, and it's something they could dispute. Now, here's the formula that I recommend. 3 pacing statements followed by a leading statement.
We know that burning fossil fuels release carbon dioxide. We know that carbon dioxide traps heat. We know that the levels of carbon dioxide are higher than they've been in 800,000 years.
And if we look back in the history of time, the atmosphere once had a very large amount of carbon dioxide in it. It's now got less than 0.04%. Where did that carbon dioxide go to? It went into chalk, limestone, shells and life. And we've been sequestering carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere for only 2,000 to 500 million years. This planet has been degassing carbon dioxide since it first formed. Carbon dioxide is a natural gas. It has dominated the atmosphere for an extraordinarily long period of time, and we now are at a dangerously low level. If we halved the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, we would have no terrestrial planes.
Now, the exact amount of how you map from a certain increase in of CO2 to what temperature will be and where the positive feedbacks are, there's some uncertainty there, but not very much. And there's certainly uncertainty about how bad those effects will be, but they will be extremely bad. I asked the top scientists in this several times, do we really have to get down to near zero? Can't we just, cut it in half or a quarter? And the answer is that until we get near to zero, the temperature will continue to rise.
What do you think about the changeover now, the recent changeover, and the Senate Commission for the Environment now has a senator who's saying that global warming is the biggest hoax that has been perpetrated?
The hoax is that there are people who are so arrogant that they think they have the power to change climate. Now
I think it's close to mindless. I mean, I think it's like, almost like denying gravity now. Sea levels rise another foot. You've got tens of millions of people being displaced. You think there's a migration problem in Syria. Watch what happens when hundreds of millions of people in the South Asia are displaced. And the definitional issue of our time is climate change. I need not tell you what happens in India and in the Indian Ocean if, in fact, the sea rises another foot or a foot and a half. Our Defense Department several years ago decided that global warming presented a national security issue of great consequences. You see migrations in Europe right now to Europe, out of the Middle East. Imagine, sea levels continue to rise in 10, 20, 30, 40 years. The displacement of millions of people. Look what's happened with Darfur. Darfur is all about climate change. It's about arable land being evaporating, figuratively and literally, and warring over land. Look what Superstorm Sandy did right here in New York. All of a sudden, people who were saying it couldn't happen, they're now knowing they have to plan for another one of these storms, and another, and another, and another.
What is the message to the rest of the world?
We have been here for thousands of years. We tell you, things are changing.
Our planet is changing. Vanishing waters in the west, rising waters on the coast. Could all this, the sunny paradise of Miami Beach, one day be overcome by the ocean? Is it already beginning to happen? There is virtually no debate.
The fact of the matter is, there is no longer a debate. And there is no more debate. The overwhelming majority of scientists are saying, A, climate change is real, and if we do not get our act together by significantly reducing carbon and methane emissions, that situation will only get worse.
There is virtually no debate among climate scientists now. Most agree that climate change is here and that we are the biggest reason. We may also have to be the solution. You'll see powerful new evidence from people who say climate change is already changing lives, right where we all live. Our year of extremes. Did climate change just hit home?
In the U.S., there's still more rough weather to report tonight.
You know, this is the driest they have seen since 119 years.
The state says at least 30 highway bridges are completely destroyed. From here down across the Cape, winds are gusting 35 to 40 miles an hour.
It feels like an all-out assault.
I wanted to ask a couple questions here about HAARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. Several of you at the table have a little bit of a piece here. As you know, this is located up in Alaska. It's currently funded by the Air Force Research Lab. It was formerly funded by the Office of Naval Research. One of the prime customers is DARPA, which is currently running experiments at the facilities here. So questions to several of you this morning.
Yeah, thank you, Senator. The Air Force has gotten great value out of HAARP in the past. We took it over from the Navy and managed it and actually did a number of experiment campaigns up there and have finished our work that we're interested in doing up there. We've moving on to other ways of managing the ionosphere, which the HAARP was really designed to do, was to inject energy into the ionosphere to be able to actually control it. Moving on to other ways of managing the ionosphere, which the HAARP was really designed to do, was to inject energy into the ionosphere to be able to actually control it.